This might be my biggest conversation on this show, and it starts right now. What up, though? I am Jay the Gentleman. That's at Jai the Gentleman on IG. It is Wednesday, so it's time for a new episode of Dear Black Gay Men Podcast. It's still our short, bullshit-free step out of our comfort zone to talk about all the emotional ups and downs along our journey to happiness. Hopefully, this is your reminder of how dope it is to be black gay men and love black gay men. Amir Odom is a prominent YouTuber who tells his followers to seek out the truth. His channel has been growing rapidly, but one of the latest posts called Debunking the Biggest Lies Told About Charlie Kirk has almost 2 million views. So, hey, Amir.
Hi.
How are you?
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to DBGM. Yay, you're here. Okay, why did you feel the need to defend Charlie Kirk at all?
I felt the need because I've personally met Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And he's one of the main reasons that really inspired me to start speaking out online.
Okay.
This was back in 2018. He was putting on a summit called the Young Black Leadership Summit, which is a horrible thing to do if he's so-called racist. And it was a summit with 400 young black people that got invited out to the White House to hear from Trump and be invited to the White House. You know, it's such a special place to be, regardless of who's the president. That's like an iconic building to be in, let alone be invited to. And it was a three-day conference. Black entrepreneurs, black actors, black authors, black doctors, black music. Like, it was a black event. And it was so awesome. And
But it's a black event put on by a white guy.
There was other black people too. Like, there was Candace Owens, she was there, and also Brandon Tatum.
Okay.
But we're talking about black. It was maybe put together by a white guy, but it was still led, and like all the lectures and breakout rooms were by black adults.
Okay.
And it was so insightful to be in a room with that, and then to go back to our hotel and everybody got on the do-rags, the bonnets, we playing spades, we playing 2K. I was like, damn, this is a black ass event. But
I think the reason why I'm so curious about why you felt the need to defend it, he stepped his ass into a whole bunch of very, very controversial positions on controversial topics.
Yes and no. I think there are a lot of clips that are controversial, and I think there are a lot of things taken out of context. So much like a comedian. A comedian, when they're on stage, they are doing a bit. So if you're going to connect, you're doing a bit, it's about 10, 15 minutes long. You're starting out, and then the punchline's at the end.
Yes.
Punchline's typically 10 to 15 minutes in. If you take 30 seconds out the middle of what that comedian's talking about, it sounds batshit crazy.
Yes.
But if you apply the full context and the whole thing of what he's saying, it then makes sense.
But Charlie Kirk never did anything under the auspices of satire. He was not the prove me wrong and all of that was never under the auspices of these are jokes. He said some very damning things, and he was serious, and he said 10 toes down on that shit.
So give me some things that you've heard that he said that lacks the context that maybe I can elaborate on, because that's why I made the video.
We will be responding to that from your video, because I want to hear your context expanded.
Yeah, but ultimately why I made that video is because I was tired of everybody lying on this man's name, because really we know what racism looks like, and we are our ancestors' dream. They went through, I don't know your ancestry like far as deep back in America, but I know for me I have a lot of slave roots, and I'm not living in the America that my grandpa is or that my great grandpa is, and so on and so forth. This is the best time. It's not the best. There's things to work on, but this is the best time to be a black person in America. You and I both get paid to talk to a camera.
Yes.
When 150 years ago, they couldn't even use their voice. So,
but I think, and this is one of the things that came up in the video that you did, because I will say that it felt hard to listen to, because even the clips that you pulled to debunk these myths about Charlie Kirk were very, very racially charged, very transphobic, very. It felt as if he wanted to create a narrative that says he or people like him get to dictate how everybody else lives their life. And if you don't align with that, then you are the enemy.
See, I disagree with that, just because we know, I'm not going to say we, but I know the context. The black people that supported Charlie Kirk, that were employed under him, well over 100 Black employees
Mm-hmm.
for his nonprofit called Blexit that's in over 60, I believe 60 U.S. cities, focused on the inner city Black communities, where they are doing food drives, they're doing school supplies, how to write a resume. Oh, here's how to different connects for jobs. Like that's all Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing, like I feel like our society is devaluing what words mean. Like if you don't like Charlie Kirk, that's fine. But to sit here and call him a racist when we know what real racism is,
What do you mean when you keep saying real racism?
I just don't feel like a racist would advocate for the advancement of Black people.
But does he really want you authentically believe he wanted the advancement of Black people?
Yes, that's what his organizations do.
Okay. But I mean, I could point to many times in history where there are very powerful white men who advocated for the advancement of their Black people to advance their bottom line. Charlie Kirk had an economic incentive to advance certain Black people. Like he wasn't out here talking for Blackness. He was advancing a conservative agenda that the agenda itself calls for the disenfranchisement of so many of us.
I don't like what is harmful that he was saying.
I don't know, because the irony of this whole conversation is before he died, I didn't know who Charlie Kirk was.
Yeah.
Did not even care. But also it's because I live in a Black bubble that I only have eyes for Black people.
Yeah.
And so Charlie Kirk was the last thing on my radar until the man passed away. Again, let me before because my tone is making light of the fact that this man was murdered.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to be the narrative.
Right.
How he died was tragic. And I do think that it requires a moment of reflection for all of us, because nobody should be the subject of political violence or any kind of violence.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And so I don't see him as
It's interesting because
the NAACP.
I saw to me he was our modern day MLK, because if we're looking at MLK as far as a entity that has a pull on culture,
okay,
and like making waves in politics and in culture in general, that was Charlie. Trump credits Charlie for a lot of the win, especially with pretty much everybody under 35. Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA is, I believe, at this point now in over 60,000 high schools and college campuses.
And see, that makes me uncomfortable.
He is huge. I mean, people were protesting in in South Korea over him, in Japan, in the UK when he died. Like,
yes.
He's a huge guy. And it shouldn't make you uncomfortable. He employed so many gay people. I don't know about trans people. I know he employed gay people, Black people, Hispanic people, Asian people. Like, the man that is painted is not the man that I knew, and not the man that I know my friends knew. Can
I say a very, very charged statement?
Yeah.
The way that you are talking about Charlie Kirk makes me feel like he had Black people on the plantation. Of course he likes Black people. And that to me just screams transactional advocacy for a small group of us.
So on the flip side, at what point do we just acknowledge somebody doing something good for Black people? Like, does there always have to be a motive underneath? Does there always have to be a negative connotation that someone's doing? Like, does it always have to be that way, or can we grow past that and say, actually, he's just a dude that believed in these values with America, and he wanted everybody to have those same values?
But the gotcha about that, the reason why his particular way of communicating that rings as problematic and inflammatory is because he only advocated for people who thought somewhere in the way he does. And when it comes to me and my politic, not the Democratic Party, but me and my politic, while I disagree with you on a whole bunch of issues, I do not want to silence your voice.
I appreciate that.
I don't want you to have any less liberties than I do.
Thank you. And neither does he. And I'd argue that, rest in peace, Charlie, you and I agree on a lot. On the most basic
Meaning you
things.
and me.
Yeah.
Got it.
And you, even with Charlie, may agree with on certain things, because
no, again, I don't know about that, friend.
And this is a disclaimer as we're getting into this podcast. there are some things that I might be saying that might be inflammatory, but I'm urging everybody to listen to understand, at least right now, then listen to respond. I drove 4
For
hours.
right now, it's just you and me.
Yeah.
And I am absolutely listening to understand, because I, for the life of me, as I prepare for this, cannot understand how you, from what I research about your upbringing, get here aligned with him.
Because
I can't draw that line.
The left has left the left. If we're looking at diversity of thought, that's more on the right. The left is an echo chamber. The left is you have to think like this, and if you don't, you're getting canceled, you're being exiled, you're being shunned. But on the right, it's such a diverse bubble. We all don't think the same at all. We embrace that. We have conversations, we have open dialogue, and it's great.
And I would say the exact opposite.
And on my journey from the left to the right, when I was at that conference, when I first met Charlie Kirk, and I was getting slandered online, 40,000 tweets. You dumb hard R, you dumb F word, because I'm big in the hive. I love me some B down tattoo. Saw Cowboy Carter 6 times this year. Like, I love that woman down. And I'm just a very, like, sometimes oblivious. But I went on Twitter and I was like, because I got invited to the finale of the On Run 2 tour, front row, and there's a picture of me on Beyonce's website. Later that month, I was at the White House and I was on Trump's Instagram. I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is it? What is life? Front row at Beyonce, then front row in Trump? Like, this is crazy. I just posted that thinking nothing of it. Like, this is great.
No, friend, no.
And I got toured to, there's still friends and family I haven't talked to since that day. And what blows my mind is when I was on the left, when I was down here marching in the streets of BLM, everybody on the right that I knew was like, why would you do that? Or like, I want to hear your perspective. We're talking things out. The second I go over to the right, I'm getting canceled and shunned by the left.
Because now I will say the piece of this that I agree with is, as someone, and I don't parse through it as left and right in my terminology, but as someone who had voted for Joe Biden, I voted for Kamala Harris,
which
I voted for before that, of course, I voted for President Obama. I voted for Hillary, but as someone who is Democratic leaning, I think that when you make that, our politic is set up to where going toward the right is a one-way street. Like, you go that the right is looking to recruit you. And when you get there, that means you are shunning everything that stands for diversity, that stands for equity, that stands for inclusion.
What's so funny about that is I'd argue that the left is for diversity of representation and the right is for diversity of thought. I feel like the left is saying, oh, we need black, brown, gay, straight, lesbian, trans all in one room. And that's diversity of them. When to me, that's a diversity of representation. But on the right, I much rather listen to 4 white men on the right who all think differently. That's a more fruitful conversation to me. They may all look the same, but if they all think differently, I'm getting more out of that conversation than a group of people who all look different but think the same. And what's ironic to me about some of these things is, and again, I don't want this to come off as, this is very peaceful, I don't want any gotcha moments or nothing like that, but this podcast, Dear Black Gay Men, is the opposite of what Kamala Harris and Joe Biden stood for.
What do you mean?
In terms of, adjusting and modifying the Civil Rights Act, which is something that Charlie Kirk spoke against. He's like, hey, I wish it was just a one-pager saying, hey, don't be racist, and that would be all we need. But with the way it's written, people are able to add a lot of different things. So Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were adding in gender identity to that. You can't discriminate based on gender identity. That hat that you're wearing, this podcast, by definition, has no definition, has no meaning. Because now I'm being told that, okay, gay. What does gay mean? What is gay to you?
I like men.
What is men?
For me, because before we get into the trans talk, for me, it is someone who identifies as a man.
See, I disagree, because I'm only gay because I like penis. There's penis and vagina. That's it. So to me, I'm a gay man.
But see, the irony is I don't even think about what's in between somebody's legs.
You do.
I don't know what's in between your legs.
You may not think about it, but you're gay. That's what the
But
word.
see, that is the exact reason I'm having this conversation, is because what you're trying to do in this conversation is make me accept your definition of gay. I
No,
see
no,
gay as
the
different than you
definition.
do.
Just the definition. Words have meaning for a reason, and gay is attracted to a biological male, attracted to a biological male.
But words have meaning, but words also have context and connotation. And
Okay,
for
so
instance,
mhm,
I acknowledge a person's agency to make decisions for themselves
mhm,
on any front, whether that is putting that Beyonce tattoo on your body
mhm.
or how you identify and what you want to be called. If I truly believe that a person is in at liberty to make those decisions for themselves, then I then have to accept that man, my definition of man does not have to be everybody's definition of man.
I think that's how we lose society, because to a certain degree, we can become too empathetic that it clouds our judgment. And to a certain degree, we all need to agree as a society of what words mean. And this is not even being hate. I have trans friends. There's nothing hateful to trans friends at all, trans people at all. But there is something to say for, if you're gonna have a podcast called Dear Black Gay Men, it should be for Black gay men.
But here's
And
the gotcha about that, though. To that end, hold on, I'm just cutting you off. Never mind. Go ahead.
no, it's just that's what I mean. And so when you have Kamala and Joe Biden trying to modify the Civil Rights Act to include gender identity, boom, now you have college freshmen, men, biological men, going in and saying, actually, I want to dorm with the girl. And they're like, but you can't. Like, you can't go in the girls' dorm. Well, why not? If men can be women and women can be men, that makes everything null and void. There's no definitions, there's no meanings. So there's no point of having a girls' dorm, because anybody can be a girl and anybody can be a boy. So now you can look it up. We literally have straight men, like regular frat bros, going into college saying, I want to be in the girls' dorm. And if you
But
don't
the
accept,
irony about that,
and if you don't accept it, you're going against the Civil Rights Act. That's crazy.
but I think you are taking a very isolated incident and blasting it out to a
But it
very broad
matters.
culture. But
It
I think it
matters.
matters, but not to for the reasons that you're saying it matters.
I think
For
that-
instance,
Go
I
ahead.
believe that when I say dear Black gay men,
Mhm,
my father is from Kenya, my mother is from South Georgia.
mhm,
Black to me includes immigrants
mhm.
because my dad is an immigrant.
Okay.
Black to me includes people who are multiracial.
Yeah.
Black to me includes people who have a different definition of black. They have
Right.
different qualities of black than I do. I can't then just say that you are not black because your daddy white.
I agree. I
But
just think
but to the same end, I can't say that you are not a man because whatever. I wasn't there when you were born. I don't know what was assigned. I don't know. I wasn't there when you were born.
I think there's some nuance to that, because if gay doesn't mean anything, what's the point of the word?
It's not that it doesn't mean anything. It's just that it can mean many things.
Why?
That is the difference.
I
And
think
you just said that you would prefer to sit in a room with several people thinking several things. So then why can we not have two different definitions of
Because
gay?
you can't even talk if you don't have definitions. Like, I'm down for people thinking differently, but you can't have a fruitful conversation if you can't even have a middle ground of like, okay, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does it mean? We
But
walk
see,
through the door, we know what the door is. Like, if we're saying, oh, that's a gay man, we should know what a gay man is. Like, I don't think it's
no,
far.
friend. But I think the irony of that is you and I have two very different definitions of Charlie Kirk, but we are still here having a informed conversation about it.
Right.
I'm not going to convince you of much in this,
Mhm.
and I don't think you're going to convince me of much.
I think you are.
But I would say that if, for instance, your premise is on the right,
Mhm.
that it is a diversity of thought,
Mhm.
then why are words excluded from that diversity? Why can we not have two different and equally valid definitions of words?
If we're just, for an example, if we're going to talk about gay, I think it's ridiculous now that it's slowly rising. So, for example, what you just said, you're talking about a small group of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what people were saying in 2016 about pronouns and stuff. And now it's everywhere.
It
So,
is everywhere.
Yeah. And right, it's everywhere now, but that wasn't the case back then. So, like, for right now, if we're going to talk about being gay,
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like it's a biological man that likes a biological man. I don't know why that's seen as we need to have that basis. Like, I don't know why that's controversial. I don't know why that's a disagreement. If we're gonna say words have meaning, I mean, make up a new word for them. That's fine. I'm not against like people being pansexual or whatever. Like, but words have meaning, and it's ridiculous that now there's rising factions of trans people calling gay people transphobic because gay men are not wanting to get with a trans man because they have a vagina. When the whole reason I'm gay is because I like penis.
But
So it's
but
like-
here's the gotcha. The whole reason you are gay is because you like penis. That is not the reason I'm gay.
That's crazy.
How is that crazy? I like, there are more, for me, my sexuality, the reason I use the term gay is not because I like what's between your legs, it's because I like who you are. And as long as that is a man, I am attracted to you. But also, when we talk about, again, diversity of thought, I acknowledge that your definition of gay could be penis to penis, butt and all the things, and that is how you define it. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is the assertion that your definition of gay has to now be everybody's definition of gay.
That's just what it is. I mean, if we're thinking about, I mean, I didn't want to get lewd, but like if we're
Never mind.
I didn't want to get lewd, but I love your podcast.
Thank you.
I love it. And you were discussing an event during Pride. And
you don't want to get lewd because you're conservative. I'll talk about it, but go ahead.
No, I just want to, like, we're just talking about a serious conversation, like someone's death. So you were talking about, the nude part, whatever it was.
Yes.
I went to the Instagram, and in the bio, it literally says no trans, no women.
Right.
You know what that means.
Yes.
Because they have the
they
words
want
have
cis
meaning.
men.
What's wrong with, but you get what I'm saying? Like, we know what that means. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, but that is a party. It's a different talking about a door or an inanimate object than it is talking about a person. And all I assert is every person, including you, should have the opportunity and the right to define themselves, their own terminology on a level that feels like home. And if, for instance, gay means something for you, then that's great. I only have a problem, and again, outsider looking in, the only reason why I have issue on the right is because it feels as if at the end of a conversation, we might start disagreeing, but at the end of it, we all need to define this thing the same way.
Yeah.
And that doesn't exist on the left in my experience. We don't mind you being a man, and that means you were born this, you were this, and now you are this, and then you use the term man.
That's why I think people are losing the left. There's this mass exodus of people leaving the left. There's this mass, you see that there's this graph that shows the left getting more left and more left and more left. Like, it's...
And I would wager the right is getting more right and more right. Like Mitt Romney and Donald Trump ain't the same kind of Republican.
Right.
George W., George H.W., them ain't the same kind of Republicans as DJT.
I agree.
And I would say that while I can acknowledge to anybody, the left may get more left or more diverse or whatever word the left uses for the left, the right has gotten crazy.
I disagree. I don't see how the right's been crazy. I genuinely don't, because I think it's crazy that I can be called transphobic for not wanting to be with someone who has a vagina.
I agree. That is not transphobic to me.
Wild to me. And that's what the right is saying. And I feel like most of the right is wanting just common sense back. We want common sense. Common sense.
You want common sense. But common sense ain't all that common. My mama told me that when I was little.
But I'm not talking like extremes.
I think you are talking extremes.
Is it extreme to say that a man has a penis?
It is no, your assertion is not extreme. You can believe a man has a penis, and I affirm that for you. My only contention is when people take their personal definition for things and try to litigate and govern it on a level where we all got to think the same thing. That don't make no sense to me.
I think a middle ground, really, because I'm all for you. You a grown adult, do whatever the hell you want to do.
Okay.
I'm all for that. I don't want any restrictions on adults doing whatever they want to do. What I want is a common sense, like a common, like we live in America, we live in this country, we have a common set of social cues, social rules,
Mm-hmm.
ideas, definitions. I want that back. I don't want to, for example, I'm married, but I'm not in this situation right now. But I don't want to go on a grinder and have to filter through penis and vagina. If for me, I'm thinking, okay, just create another app for that. Or like, I guess now I haven't been on it. Maybe there's filters.
You know, the
whatever.
irony is, to a degree, I agree with you.
I just want to know what to expect. I want to know what to expect, and I don't think knowing what to expect should alienate anybody or should restrict anybody. Do what you want to do as an adult. I'm all in favor of that. I don't want to restrict anybody of nothing, but I think there should be terms for it and a set common idea of, okay, you do that, or you someone that. I think that's why there's all these different sexualities. Like, oh, you're someone that's cool with penis or vagina, but you want a masculine person. Boom, you're that sexuality. Cool. I don't care about those terms, but I just want to know if we agree on what a thing is. That's all I want.
But what if the dictionary that you're talking about, what if the dictionary of all these terms is a lot more diverse than your political ideology would allow? What if?
I mean, I don't know what that means.
Like Charlie Kirk, and we can get to a whole bunch of videos, but Charlie Kirk said, I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman.
Yeah. We disagreed on that.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can disagree on that.
Most blacks feel that way.
But the gotcha is, if, for instance, we are governing from that position, it could be that, yes, we can have one dictionary of terms. It's just there's going to be a whole bunch more terms than people on your side of the political aisle are comfortable with.
Yeah.
Like, there are many conservatives who do not like the idea of trans anything. And I think they crazy as hell, too.
Right. And there's a lot of people on the left that think, yeah, a 12-year-old can get a double mastectomy. I think that's crazy. There's always middle grounds, and there are always crazy people on both sides.
But again, the difference is your side of this conversation is saying, now I want to govern and say that everybody now, because this case happened where someone got gender affirming care and they wanted to reverse it, because that is now our example. Now, no one can have gender affirming care.
I completely agree. I think if you're an adult, do what you want to do. But if a 14-year-old girl cannot smoke, cannot drink, cannot vote, cannot drive because they are a minor, can't even consent to have sex with an adult because they are a minor, why should we allow them to consent to change their sex? They can't consent.
But that's not how it happens, Amir. The conversation about gender affirming care is a conversation between a family and a medical professional. How then can politics get in the middle of that and have and litigate and govern that every single situation where a trans youth exists looks like this one person that could want to reverse it?
Okay.
All I am saying is, I am not trans. I was born a male. I am a man now.
Can I ask you a question?
I do not know what the process would look like for a person wanting to transition, and the people that do know are not in Congress.
If your neighbor, day in and day out, is beating their child,
yes,
welts, blood, bruises, the kid is asking for help, and the parent is saying, I'm parenting my child, you are in your legal route to snitch and have CPS take the children because that children's in danger. Do you think that's fine?
I can have CPS check on them kids, but I cannot say what the outcome of that check is. If I am going to be the whistleblower, I'm not saying CPS go get that kid. I'm saying CPS, hey, somebody's being abused.
Do you think the parents should have the right to beat their children? Not a whooping, not a spanking, not us getting switches back in the 90s. I'm talking beat, like child abuse. Do you think that's
I do not believe any person has the right to abuse any other person, especially a child.
So we're getting there. I think we're getting to some middle ground.
What you're trying to get me to characterize is gender affirming care is abuse, and I'm never going to get there.
Okay, how about this? What's gender affirming care to you? Because I will be fine. Because I know for some people, gender affirming care is just socially transitioning. Fine. I'm fine with that. The only thing I'm against is medically transitioning a child.
Do you have kids?
It doesn't matter.
Why not?
Because I can acknowledge if I'm seeing somebody beat their child, I know that something is bad. We all know the difference between
But again, that
spanking.
characterizes gender affirming care as abuse, and that is just not the case.
So I would advocate for, and that's why I speak out on my platform, to separate the two. And I talk about this in length when I talk about trans issues. Is I'm totally fine with tomboys and tomgirls socially transitioning. I don't care. It's just the fact of, if this child can't consent to have sex, why is this child all of a sudden we're advocating for the consent to change their sex for life? That's what I don't get.
Because you are taking the parent out of that equation. Again, gender affirming care is the alignment of a support system with a medical professional.
Mm-hmm.
I, as a third party, I being Jay, being
Mm-hmm.
the government, being anybody else,
Mm-hmm.
cannot meaningfully get involved in the care that a doctor is providing for a patient with the consent of his or her or their parents. For instance, you ask, what is gender affirming? I have a niece.
Mm-hmm.
She is a girl. Far as I know, she lives her life as a girl. She feels like a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Gender affirming care for her is doctor calling her a girl and giving her care as a girl.
Mm-hmm.
We all participate in gender affirming care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my doctor calls me a man and gives me care as a man,
Mhm.
because that is the gender that I identify with, and he affirms that.
Do you think doctors should know what sex you are?
I think doctors should have I think doctors are skilled enough to have a conversation about what sex you believe yourself to be.
Can I go in and get a pap smear?
You're talking about anatomy and identity. Those are two different things. You don't have the pipes to get a pap smear
Because I'm not a woman.
because you don't have ovaries and a vagina.
Isn't that a woman?
No. I know many people that have a vagina that are not women.
I'm all fine with those people presenting how they want to present. But at the end of the day, you're still whatever biologically you were born. And I think it's okay to acknowledge that, and that's not hateful in saying that. And I think a lot of this conversation goes back to wanting a common ground. Because without that common ground, it just spirals into chaos. It's why there's so much infighting in the LGBTQ plus community, and it's slowly tremors, but it's rising and rising and rising, of the gays and the trans beefing, the lesbians and the trans beefing, the queers and the gays. Like, there's so much infighting because we are so open. We are so accepting. We are so empathetic. We are so just, yes, you're not hurting me, go do you. You're not hurting me, go do you. But there needs to be a grounding, a ground level, and there's nothing wrong with that. And most people that I've come across on the right are totally fine with adults doing what they want to do. They really are. It's just wanting that grounding back and wanting, again, make common sense great again, but like just wanting a commonality between us to say, hey, we know what this is. We know what this is. We know what a cross-dresser is. We know what a trans person is. We know what a gay guy is. Like, we just know. And I think a lot of people miss that feeling of just knowing what something is. And we're devolving into a society where we all have different definitions. We all have different meanings and different words. And that just screams leading towards chaos to me. And there's nothing wrong for me. And even people that identify all these different things and all these different transitions. Again, you do you. It's just a matter of like having words for it and having an agreement on what something means.
But why is it? Because what you're saying, because you keep using the term common.
Yeah.
And that is the only problem I have, because we are not common. You are a black gay man in your 30s. Mm-hmm. I am a black gay man. I was in my 30s.
The only common I want is the baseline. But the gotcha about that is, even between the two of us, we are two black gay men who have two different definitions of gay. Which is crazy to me. But
the irony of that is, I fully acknowledge your definition has worked for you. You the only one married between the two of us. Mm-hmm. My definition then also works for me. Why can't both of those things be valid?
Because words have meaning.
Words have meanings. especially in English. There are many words in English
I
got a whole
agree.
bunch of different meanings.
There's lots of different meanings, lots of different contexts, but I think it all changed so fast, like incredibly fast. You look at any graph, gay relations in the United States was rising across the board, even for Republicans. Didn't start going downhill until 2019, 2020 because of the TQ plus.
You say it's because of the TQ plus. I don't agree with that, but okay.
I mean, it's the only thing I've seen different. It's a whole new flag.
Donald Trump, COVID. Like, there are a whole bunch of things that are very
Trump
different.
Holds gay weddings at his house. Like
Donald Trump.
My friends had a gay wedding at Trump's house.
Hold on.
Like
I will say that it's difficult for me to debate Donald Trump.
We don't have to
with a Trump supporter.
I don't support everything. He's crazy. I don't support everything that he does. I don't support anything. I don't support everything what anybody, single person does.
Okay.
I bring him up to say that scenario that my friends got married at his house. Gay couple. So when we're talking about, oh, well, you think gay relations went down because of Trump.
No. I just said, I don't know what's different between now and 2020. Now in 2020, there has been a pandemic. There has been 2 Trump presidencies since 2020.
And gay was still rising under Trump. From 2016 to 2020, it was still rising. It didn't start going down when our flag changed, when all these letters got added on, when all was the rise of Dylan Mulvaney's and Lily Tino's. It was this rise of, we are trans women and we're going in the sports no matter what you say. We're going to your bathroom no matter what you say.
So where should they be if not? Where should they be? If I'm a trans person, if I'm a trans woman, as in this example, and I am athletic, where should I go?
And you're athletic, where should you go?
If I am a trans woman, if I am a woman of trans experience on any level, and I'm a basketball player, where should I be playing basketball to you?
I don't know.
They should just disappear?
Maybe with the man. Just put it in a bun. But now with somebody, we're gonna talk about sports, not a biological sport.
So if I'm a 6 foot, 250 pound trans man, you're saying I should be in the WNBA? This is so
funny real quick because I was on a Jubilee episode, liberals versus conservative gays.
Yes.
And there's this clip, and it was so funny. We were talking about trans women and trans men. I walked my ass up there. We just sitting there talking, and the director was like, well, Amir, we're talking about this, and I was like, really? And I got up and left. I get so confused with trans men and trans women.
Okay.
So confused. Okay, so trans man, female to male.
Yes, but there is so much to unpack with just that sentence. But yes.
Oh my goodness. I did think when it comes to sports, you should just be on your biology. I think there are some nuances there.
Okay, but hear me out. If I am 6 feet tall, I'm taller than the general woman. I am a bodybuilder. I am faster. I am
what?
I don't even know how to process that question because I'm like, let's say hypothetically
we have
speaking,
women's sports for a reason?
I think we have women's sports for people who identify as women. Yes.
Is that why it was originally made?
I don't know.
We have women's sports because men are stronger than women, generally.
We have women's sports, sure. I'll give you that.
Like,
but now, the gotcha about your argument about people transitioning is I can send you pages and pages and pages and social media handles of bodybuilding ass trans men.
Tear me up.
And they far outnumber, outperform their female counterparts.
Yeah, that exists.
Which is why they are men. They stronger than both of us. So you're saying if I'm a man transition to a woman, I should be disproportionately benefited by going into women's sports.
I think if you're just a biological woman, you're with biological women.
Okay, so let me rephrase the question. Totally take a different tangent because the trans piece I'm very curious about. And the reason why I'm curious is because in this podcast, I know that there are a lot more people that think like you than think like me. And I want to respect that.
Yeah.
But let me understand this. If, for instance, we separate the TQIA plus
hmm
from the L, the G, and the B, what is there to benefit?
I think in that,
Mhm.
I think there will be a lot more done for both groups. Because again, to me, it goes back to having that commonality of what something means. And I strongly think that the LGB is biology, it's sexuality, lesbian, gay, bisexual,
Mhm.
penis, vagina, both. Very cut and dry, very simple. TQIA plus, identity. I just think they're completely separate, and I think you can promote both things in their own entities. And if you think we can't, I don't understand this whole argument of like, okay, then saying all lives matter is bad. Well, there's Black Lives Matter, there's Hispanic Lives Matter, there's Asian Lives Matter. Why is it that now we focus on different groups?
Because you adding in white people into an argument that white people should not be in.
We'll get to that later. But when it comes to LGBTQ, IA plus 2A, it just when there gets to a point where it gets so big, nothing means anything anymore. Like you ask the average person, especially on the right, like average gay people on the right, if they support the LGBTQ plus community, they say no. But it's because of the TQ plus. Like the average person, the only issues they have with the LGBTQ plus is the TQ plus. Because
Okay.
that's all the
But
trans
what is
issues.
the
And
what is the
so
power? What is the benefit of that? I support this culture except for these people. That sounds like prejudice to me.
no, they can be separate. I
It's
said
like
separate,
because
not
people
gone.
have said that all in our history. I support black people except these kind of black people. I support Latino people except these kind of Latino people. I support queer people except these kind of queer people.
I think
And I think and if it's black people and except these kind of black people, that is racism. I like black folks, just the kind of black folks I like.
okay. So with that argument, there is a common ground, a common definition of what a black person is. You're saying these kind of black people versus these kind of black people. I'm with you there. That's not the same as saying these gay people and these trans people. Being gay and trans is it's not the same. Sexuality and identity, they're different. If we're going to talk about I'm okay with gay men but not lesbian women, that's more on par with the argument you just gave. But if we're talking about gays, lesbians, and bis versus non-binary and trans, they're completely different to me.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What sexuality do you think trans people have?
I think you can be trans and have one of the three.
So if I'm a trans gay person, that fits in your paradigm.
A trans gay person,
Like you just said, these three are sexuality,
Yeah.
these others are identity.
yeah,
But in order to be identity, I have to also have a sexuality.
yeah.
So if I'm a trans person,
If so for example, if you have a trans man, which is female to male, and they're attracted to men, they're just straight. I don't. That's
okay,
yeah.
and what if they are attracted to women?
And they're bi or they're lesbian, like depending on.
So
whatever
they
you want.
still in the umbrella. At some point, LGB still has to deal with the trans
But
thing.
Everybody on this planet deals with LGB. Whoever adding in straight.
Sure.
TQ plus is separate.
But the TQ and the plus have to then fall into something. If you're saying TQ plus is a gender identity, which they are, they also had, because everybody got a gender identity. The only difference between them and LGB is my gender identity and the identity I was born with and my gender markers at birth are the same. So if I am a man who is gay, this over here is a trans person who is gay. So at the end of the day, LGB still has a whole lot of T in it. There is no way to exclude these things unless you erase trans people's sexuality.
Yeah, I mean it's very interesting.
Okay,
That's
even if I follow your logic and say
Because I
I'm
know-
only dealing with who you were born with.
Yeah,
If I was born as a woman and I am attracted to women, what does that make me?
a lesbian.
And if I call that trans and now I live my life as a man, even in your logic, I'm a lesbian, so I'm still LGB.
Yeah, I guess. But I just don't know why they can't be separated. Because there's a lot
Okay,
of
so
people who
trans
did like,
lesbians need a different thing.
they need something. I think at this rate, it's just gotten so crazy
But what
and
is the
so
answer, though?
delusional. I don't know.
Because give you an example. I have a friend, and I have used her as an example on this show. Her name is Hope Giselle.
Mhm.
Hope lives her life as she is a woman to me.
Okay.
Now, on your level, she might be something else, but she is a woman.
Okay.
If I follow and she is a political activist, so I hope I'm not being offensive by using her as an example. But if I follow your logic, she was born a man, she lives as a woman now, but in your case, she would be biologically a man, right? Now, I'm not asserting what she is biologically, but using your logic. She is now married to a man. What would you call that?
Doesn't that actually, now that we're having this discussion and we're breaking it down, doesn't that fall into a different sexuality? Isn't there a word for that? Like, what's pansexual?
I don't know. I'm asking you. If she, using your logic, you
Yeah.
say biologically she was born man, we would say assigned male at birth.
Yeah.
And now she is married to a man. That's the same as you, ain't it?
Yeah. I would say that they are, honestly, I'd probably make up either new sexuality, which I'm pretty sure they have. That's what pansexual includes trans. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. But I would advocate for having a set definition for that. Because I do think there is a difference. Not excluding her, not writing them off, none of that. But I think I would still want to refer back to my favorite word, a common ground, and understand that there are some, I will give that there's some nuances in that, but there probably should be some definitions for that. One of my
But hear me out. But before you get off of that,
no, I'm staying on. I want to know if this is on par with the example you just gave. I know a couple. Biological man identifies as a man.
Like you and me.
Biological woman identifies as a man. They're calling themselves a gay couple. I think that's not a gay couple to me. It's something else.
But see, the difference is you keep trying to push for a common understanding of these things.
Yeah.
Why does your definition of any of these words have anything to do with their relationship?
Because I think it matters when you're having, for example, young black gay men going through their identity, not figuring out their sexuality. I think people should have a goal, or not a goal, like an end point of like, okay, that's what this means. That's what this means. That was what this means. I think that's healthy. I think it's healthy to have a set, like, oh, so I have these feelings. Okay, so that means I'm gay. Cool. I think it's okay to have set definitions.
Yes. And again, the distinction between your perspective as, even if I could say you're representing the right, but your perspective and mine is, I allow for you to define words however you want to. You can call a thing in your life because it is informed by experience. It is informed by your own opinions about things. It could be informed by science or a whole bunch of things.
Are you a cat?
I don't identify as a cat.
Are you a cat?
No.
You're a human.
Yes.
That's what, like, so why do some words have a direct meaning and some don't?
Because it's not that some words have a direct meaning. It's that those particular words that you're saying don't apply to me.
Don't apply to anybody in this room.
Yeah, Ashton doesn't believe she's a cat either.
Right. But like, I feel like with what you're saying, it can divulge to a society where, well, she says she's a cat, then she's a cat.
What's wrong with that? No, that is a legitimate question. What is wrong with that? This person in this chair, this empty chair, says, I identify as a cat. In my head, I'd be like, okay, I don't fuck with you, so let me just go over here. But more power to you.
Because,
like, what does it change your actual lived experience that this person, this fictitious person identifies as a cat?
Maybe it's because I want kids. Do you want kids?
I got a niece and a nephew. No. But what does that have to do with anything?
Because I'm so...
How are your future kids' lives?
I'm so removed from myself. I'm so I know my time is limited on this planet and I'm not here for a long time. I could die. I have a tattoo. It's the end of a stopwatch. It's a 0000.
Mhm.
Never know when I'm going to die. I could die right now.
Yes.
Motivates the hell out of me. I don't want a society or to live in a world where we're okay with affirming delusional, affirming insanity. And if someone says, yeah, I'm a cat, instead of, and I get it, it's more of like the empathetic and it's more like respectful. Like, I don't fuck with you, I'm gonna go over here. I don't think that's enough. They
But
need
it's
help.
not. But it's not empathy. Like I don't feel for someone who identifies as a cat. I have no feeling
But
about
why
that
don't
at
you
all.
find that to be a problem?
Because their life don't affect me.
It affects all of us. We are in a shared society. We're in a shared world to a certain degree. Their ideas and what they're saying affects us. The same way
Okay,
back
so
in
then
2015, the pronouns meant nothing. There was a few people here and there, whatever. But now there's
let's be clear
pronouns
about
on
that.
business cards.
Let's be clear about that. People have been gender nonconforming since the beginning of time.
Mhm.
That is a historical fact. There have been trans people since the beginning of civilization.
Mhm.
However, I do agree there has been pronouns become nouveau riche because people identify as things. That is a fact.
That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is like there's what you can view as crazy, a person calling himself a cat, now can slowly trickle down culture and society, and boom, now it's just you have to affirm that, you have to accept that. That's all I'm getting to.
But the interesting thing about that is the only distinction between you, what you're saying, and me is, yes, someone identifies as a cat. In my head, I might think they kind of crazy. Let me leave them alone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't then, I'm not then going to limit their liberties or their ability to identify as whatever they want because of my own definition. That's the only difference between what you're saying and what I'm saying.
Okay, so on that point, using that cat example,
Mm-hmm.
is it right for that person that calls himself a cat to fight for and enact laws where you have to call them a cat?
Yeah.
But you just said you're against that, like you're against pushing on these civil liberties and enacting laws like that. That's what they would be doing. So you're okay with somebody who's saying, I'm a cat, I mandate that if you don't call me a cat, you should go to jail. That's okay to you.
That is what your side of this line does all the time. Jimmy Kimmel's been talking about President Trump. I don't like what he's saying, so let me get him off the air. And he uses the FCC to do that.
But that
Stephen Colbert is a critic of Trump.
It just got
I'm going to
released.
use my power to get you, this political adversary, off the air.
You know, Biden, that just came out that he did that, right? That Biden and Kamala Harris colluded with Meta. Zuckerberg went on the air and testified that their administration was pushing them to suppress content creators that were talking about COVID and election interference. That's proven. Biden did it before the election.
Let me be clear. I don't have information to support that. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's fair.
But what I am saying though is the example that you're using, such and such identifies as a cat, and now I'm going to legislate that this has to be true, is exactly what the person you voted for does all the time.
I think there's a strong difference in someone on federal air advocating and promoting the assassination of somebody versus someone mandating by law that you need to call me a cat.
Well,
so maybe those are very different examples.
Let's stay back on.
Maybe
let's stay back here. Examples. I'm just saying what you're saying is, or what you're explaining as your political ideology is saying that if I don't believe it, then it cannot be possible. And all I'm offering is the world is a lot broader, a lot more dynamic, a lot more nuanced than your political stance allows for it to be.
To a certain degree, I think, for example, sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm all for I already said I'm all for LGBT, but I acknowledge there is some nuance there. I acknowledge that sexuality can be fluid. I acknowledge that some people have different experiences.
Do you acknowledge that trans people have asexuality?
Yeah. I acknowledge that trans people are attracted to certain things, but in regards to someone literally calling themselves a cat
Sure.
and then going to the law and saying, if you don't call me a cat, that's what people have a problem with. If you want to be an adult,
Is
and
there
you
an
call yourself
example
a
of that?
cat,
Is there an example of that
Canada,
happening?
Canada
We
restricting
talking about the
speech.
United States of America.
I know, but I don't want us to become Canada. That's why we speak out against it.
Okay, sure.
That's why. So
But-
like,
but
I'm
what
not.
we-
That's
but-
why I'm vocal about. They're crazy.
But what we are dealing with is, because you have said many things in this conversation.
Yeah.
You have said that we do not believe in the transing, because I think that is a derogatory term, but we do not believe in gender affirming care for children.
To a certain degree, I think we need to define gender affirming care. But yeah,
Okay. You have also said that if you are an adult, you have the liberty to identify as whatever you are, but you have added
as
that
long as you don't mandate it, you can be what you want to be.
as
But you're not
long
going to
as,
set in a law that requires me to call you whatever you are.
but
That's
you
just
are
crazy.
saying,
I'm
but
for free speech.
but
I
you
don't believe
hear,
in hate speech. I'm for free speech.
but you are saying then that as long as your definition of these words aligns with mine,
Mhm.
we're okay. The second that there is a dissonance between these two things, I'm erring on the side of these very traditional old school ways of defining things.
It depends on what it is. I'm down to talk about it. We're
Let's
always
say
down to talk about it.
trans. As you have said, in Marsha P. Johnson's time 30, 40 years ago,
Mhm.
trans was not a hot button issue and it was not top of consciousness in LGBTQ culture.
Right.
And definitely not in broader society.
Mhm.
But now, trans people are a lot more bold, a lot more visible.
Yeah.
And for that reason, yes, there has to be a conversation about how do we fold these people into the tapestry of our culture. And you're saying they deserve a different culture altogether.
They can be folded in. Like I said, I already said, I have trans friends. They can be folded in. I'm just not for mandating. That's all I'm not for. I'm not for mandate. I'm not for anybody, minors transitioning, and I'm not for any of any age mandating speech laws. If you don't, like, for example, somebody can call me the hard R, that's fine. I don't care. But I'm not going to say we should make the hard R illegal. No, I'm not going to go down that route, because who decides what is legal and what's not? So when it comes to these trans people, no, you need to call me a she, it's ma'am, all that kind of stuff. You can be mad at that. You can be offended at that. That's sure. And I respect my trans friends. They go by she, I call them she.
Okay.
I have no problem with that. I'm not going to say you're a man. No, that's crazy. If we go into a restaurant and my friend Gwen goes and sits down first, and I go up to the host and I'm like, hey, where did she go? She looked like this. I'd be stupid if I said, oh, where did that man go? So I will affirm, I would say, like, if she identifies as she, I can respect that.
Okay.
But I'm not going to say that they can mandate that. That's what I don't want.
You don't want mandating what?
I don't want mandating speech laws.
And why is that a fear?
Because it's a thing that happens already. We have free speech in America, and there's other countries that do not have free speech. There's other countries where you can be
but
jailed.
also you got free. If you, for instance, white dude calls me the N word with a hard ER.
Yeah,
he can do that. He got free speech.
that's perfect.
And I can respond.
Yeah.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying I wanted to keep it that way, and there's people advocating to not keep it that way. That's all I'm saying.
But why is that even a concern of yours?
Because it's a thing that is happening and growing across the globe.
Okay. And
So
so
I'm
what does it
advocating-
lose? What does it lose if someone has gone through all of the work to get their gender markers changed?
Mm-hmm.
Legally, they are a whatever they
I don't
identify.
think that should be legal.
Why?
I think to a certain point, biology does matter. Now, I think
Okay,
there's some
so-
nuances in it. I think it's crazy. It was so funny. We went to the club, and my trans friend, she was like, here we go. I got to give him my ID. It says man on it. And we were laughing at it. But I think there is some nuances to that.
So at what point
but-
at what point can a person just be a person?
I don't know.
You're saying that
I genuinely don't know. at what point a
changing
person
my
is a
government
person.
documentation
Mhm.
doesn't do it. Changing my social expression doesn't do it. Changing what my friends call me doesn't do it. So at what point does a person of trans experience just get the opportunity to be who they are?
I don't know. And that's why it's a much larger conversation than what we have.
But I think the bigger issue
Hmm.
is that you, not trans person, are the person making a lot of the decisions in our culture. We ain't never had a trans people in Congress is still a, oh my God, I can't believe that happened moment.
Right.
And so the idea that we can pass any law that doesn't meaningfully incorporate trans people, even though trans people exist,
I think the problem
is
goes
the
back
problem.
to the definitions. Because before, trans meant, at least to me, what I've always thought, trans meant you were transitioning. But now, both of us can sit up here right now and say that we are women. That's just what it, like, we have the right. We can say, oh, well, actually, we are women. And that just be that.
But that doesn't have any legal implications. If I were to say I'm a woman
it-
right now,
it could,
right now at 10:02 on a Wednesday night, there are no legal implications. Sure, you could say,
Yes, there-
okay, he a woman now, got it.
If Kamala and Joe move forward with adding gender identity to the Civil Rights Act, then yes, that would have legal implications, because then you can be in college and say, actually, I deserve to be in the girls' dorm. Because I, right now, this second, no surgery, no changing, no nothing. I am a woman.
And what would be the problem? Walk me through that thought process.
I
If
think it's-
I live in a men's dorm, I am a man, and then on September 24th decide I am now a woman, what changes?
I think it
in
is
your head.
I think it is okay for women to be around women and men to be wanting to be around men. I think it's okay.
But hold
for
on.
women-
Walk me through the example you just raised.
Yeah.
I'm in a college dorm.
Yeah.
I live in a men's dorm, not co-ed.
Yeah.
I, on today, September 24th, say, now I'm a woman.
Mhm.
What in your head actually happens next?
I think what happens next is you make a lot of women in that dorm feel very, very uncomfortable.
But I
because
don't
they're
live in a woman's dorm. I still live in a man's dorm.
Oh, wait, what? I thought
You-
we're talking about
You
different
just
things.
said, I'm in a college dorm.
Mhm.
I, on September 24th, say, okay, now I'm a woman.
The legal implication that you could petition to be in the women's dorm.
Okay, I could petition, but I still live in a man's dorm.
Yeah.
I look like a man, presumably.
Mhm.
I'm still in a man's dorm. I think that you are dismissing the work it takes to actually transition.
But-
Because in your example, if, for instance, I live in a
But there are
man's
people
dorm,
that don't do the work. That's what I'm saying. There's people that don't do the work. We can look it up.
sure, but
And
on
they take
from a
advantage.
legal standpoint, that means that you are not a woman. I can call you a woman all day, but if you don't do the work of changing gender markers, of changing your dorm, of moving somewhere, of getting your shit and taking it from one place to live in another, you are still a person in a men's dorm who previously identified as a man. I think you making it, the way that the right, in my experience, characterizes transitioning is we snap our fingers and all of a sudden a doctor's chopping off your breasts and giving you a hysterectomy.
I will
And that's
say
not the
that's
case.
not the case for everybody, but that is the case for a lot of people.
No one snaps their fingers and gets a operation. Because the bigger issue with that is a doctor who don't know you from Adam or Eve is now giving you a surgery that you didn't ask for.
I think we should move on,
Why?
because I want to get into like Charlie Kirk stuff. There's a lot more pressing stuff than this. But I think this requires us to, I'll come back down. I think this requires us to pull all our examples
Sure.
of the scenarios that we're giving on these trans topics. Because as far as people snapping their fingers and getting a surgery, I have seen instances of that. And I have heard of this.
Of course.
And that's
Anything is possible.
So,
but
I
in
think-
your example, the reason why I'm double tapping here is because there is this growing faction of gay men, black or otherwise, who do not believe trans people of trans experience are in the same culture that they are. That there should be something very different.
Yes.
And I believe that the commentary that happens in our culture minimizes the actual process of transitioning. People don't just wake up tomorrow and they are a totally different person.
We see different things then, because I see that. And I think it is okay to say, hey, I'm a gay man. I want to be around other gay men. I think that's perfectly acceptable.
There
to
is
say.
nothing wrong with that. There is a problem, though, with legislating that. There is a problem with, as you have said, just like the person with the cat.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can identify as a cat. Legislating that becomes a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can identify as a man,
Mm-hmm.
but legislating that becomes a problem because not everyone has the same experience as you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's, again, the only difference between what you're saying and what I'm saying is I believe you can believe whatever is appropriate for you.
Yeah.
But legislating that, enacting laws to affirm that skews away from any group of people is discriminatory. Because you are saying discriminate against people of trans experience as if they don't exist.
I'm saying I don't want trans people to make laws to affirm what they are when there are people, like there's protests saying trans women are women, trans men are men, therefore anybody can be anything and everything's null and void because nothing.
But why do you always go to this everything is null and void? Just because more people identify as something, why then does that sanitize it for everybody?
This is not even trying to be a got you, but it's always easy to got you. What is a woman?
I'm not a woman, so I defer to people who identify as a woman to define that. That's the difference.
And to me,
like in this room, there is only one woman, far as I know. And so I don't feel like I have any more right to define what that is because she is there. She can define what a woman is better than I can.
I think it's situations like that where like it just gets, we just genuinely don't see eye to eye on it. Just genuinely don't.
So, okay, so what right do you have to define womanhood?
It's a biological woman.
Okay, you're not a doctor, though. You're not a biologist. You are a person. What right do you have to define these words?
If we have male and female.
Okay.
Biological man, biological woman. You have the word female.
Got it.
Then from female derives woman and girl.
Mm-hmm.
For the longest time, a woman was a biological female and a girl is a biological female, just a young one. That triangle, that was it for the longest time. Now we're saying trans women are women. Okay, well, if you're saying trans women are women, now you have to change the definition all the way back up to what a female is. We already had the definition. We already understood that a female...
You understood that, friend. All I'm saying is you are not a biologist. You are not a doctor. And you are not a legislator. So if I can change my gender markers on my driver's license, if I can change my biology,
you can't change your biology.
Who are you to say that? You're not a doctor. How do you know what I can or cannot do or who I am or am not? You weren't there when I was born. You are not a doctor. You didn't deliver me. You are not in the operating room for any of this stuff.
Are we saying we can change our biology?
I am saying that, first, let me say, you can identify as whatever you want. I think that is one thing that we agree on in this conversation. People can identify as whatever they want. The second piece of that, though, is if, for instance, my legal documentation and my doctor can agree on anything about me, on having high blood pressure, on needing glasses to drive, on being a donor, a organ donor. If my legal documentation and my doctor can agree on all these things, then what does anybody else's opinion matter?
There's no doctor on this planet Earth that can tell you that you are a biological woman.
Why?
Because that you can't change your biology. You can change how you appear, but you literally cannot change your biology. And I think there's a reason why people are trans. They're transitioning for a reason because they're not that biology that they want it to be or they feel that they are because they're literally different. Like they're literally different biologies. Therefore, I'm not trans, but I feel like I can say this. You're trans for a reason because you're trying to go from one thing to the other. You're transitioning. Therefore, you were never that thing. Therefore, there are meanings and understanding to what a man is and what a woman is. Because if that's not the case, why are you transitioning in the first place?
Okay. The reason, the pushback I have to this particular topic is because there are many things that I was, even me.
Mm-hmm.
There are many things that I was when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Like 13, if you would have asked me, I would have said I was straight.
Yeah.
I am not straight now.
Right.
I'm very, very gay.
And real quick, I think a difference with that is that had no implications
On what?
on you mutilating your body.
Okay.
That experience was all mental. And I think the problem that we're seeing, hence why gay acceptance has been declining ever since trans has been since 2020, it's been going on a down curve because it's infiltration of transing children. And I understand this experience of like, oh, maybe I'm straight, maybe I'm gay, I don't know, going through middle school. That had nothing to do with my biology. But the sad part is now we're also pairing that with the trans experience, and people are saying, oh, well, I knew I was trans when I was a kid, and that. That's fine. But wait till you're an adult to change that, because there's a rising trend now of minors
but wait a minute,
coming out
wait a
saying,
minute,
I
Mir.
regret this transition.
But
and I
you're
think it's
saying,
crazy
you
to
are
me
saying now, wait until you're an adult.
to transition.
But you just also said
Yeah.
that even as an adult, we cannot legislate that the world around me and in this country should affirm my decisions to be myself. How can you have it both ways?
I think
if, for instance, I'm
ahead.
trans at 3, trans at 5, trans at 10, 17, I turn 18, and now I, as an adult, seek out gender affirming care, even if I acknowledge that much. Then at what point should the world around me acknowledge I am who I say I am?
I think a good middle ground is not doing that. I think a good middle ground is saying,
that ain't a middle ground. I think you know well enough that not doing that is not a middle ground.
I think a middle ground would be on a license, trans F, the trans female. That's what you are. You're literally trans. You're the dolls. You're trans. Like, you're a trans woman. So maybe on the license, the birth certificate, it's trans woman.
Okay, and so in all those rooms of diverse thought, why doesn't that bubble up and show up on Fox News?
Because people aren't scared to have conversations like this.
Okay,
so my friend just got shot in the neck. People were like, he's so far right. That was the most moderate man. You thought that was far right? Girl, you haven't seen nothing on the right.
No, I haven't. Because
they shot
the
this
irony
man on
of
the
that
neck for
is
having conversations. No one wants to do this on the left. Every single person in my life.
But also, nobody on the left shot that man.
No.
Nobody that looks and walks and talks like you or I shot that man. We can acknowledge that. The person that shot that man does not look or walk or talk like you or I. And statistically speaking,
he wasn't a black gay dude, yeah.
He wasn't a black anything.
What does that have to do with anything?
Statistically,
Are you saying he was a Republican?
Absolutely.
No, that's not the case. That's why Jimmy Kimmel got in trouble. He literally is a white dude dating a trans person. No Republican is dating a trans person.
You just said that there's rooms full of trans people on the left, on the right.
There are, but not writing anti-Republican slogans on the bullets.
He called Charlie Kirk a fascist. That is not anti-Republican. That's anti-Charlie Kirk.
Okay, we can get past this.
But he called Charlie Kirk a fascist.
I think
I'm not going to debate whether or not he was a fascist, but he using the bullets as a red herring does not mean that he was against the Republican Party. He was anti-Charlie Kirk.
I'm not going to say that the guy that shot Charlie Kirk was a Republican.
I'm not going to say that the guy that shot Charlie Kirk was anything. But what I will say is he had a lot of animus toward Charlie Kirk, toward Republicanism.
For no good reason.
I mean, for no good reason, that is negotiable. I'm not in his head. But I'm saying he didn't shoot up Republicans. He shot up Charlie Kirk.
Trump put it the best way at Charlie Kirk's memorial. And it was that bullet, the bullet was aimed at Charlie Kirk.
But
the gun was aimed at all of us. And we saw that in the reaction of his death. Charlie Kirk passed away, and you had thousands of people advocating for more of it, saying yes, anybody who thinks like him, good, laughing at it, cheering it, applauding it. People in my life saying, I saw saying, yeah, I'm glad he went down because of the things that he was saying. I say the same thing. So what are you saying about me? Like literally applauding this man's
you ain't
death.
Charlie Kirk, Amir. You're not Charlie Kirk.
We say the same stuff.
No.
And that's what people are talking about. Like, oh, well, if I'm not Charlie Kirk, I know I'm not Charlie Kirk. But there is an ample amount of videos saying anybody who's saying anything like him deserves to be shot too. And that's what's crazy to me.
I affirm that happens. I do not agree with the rhetoric, but I affirm that happens. But you're not Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that as a compliment.
Just
for the amount of research that I have done on Charlie Kirk to prepare for this conversation, you ain't nothing like him.
So what about him? What are some things that he said that is just makes him out to be like a harmful person?
He had a whole litany of critique about Joy-Ann Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama.
On that topic of
hold on. Yeah. He had a whole litany of the umbrella he couched that as these were affirmative action hires, and they took jobs away from white people. Ironically, Michelle Obama was the first lady of the country.
Yeah.
That's not a job that she...
Right.
There's no white man or person that could have taken that job. She is married to the president.
I agree on that one.
Joy-Ann Reid was at the time a host on MSNBC.
That did what?
Ketanji Brown Jackson was...
Joy Reid, that did what?
I don't know what you want to get out of that.
That went on TV and said, the only reason I'm here is because of affirmative action.
Okay.
Ketanji Brown Jackson talked about benefiting from affirmative action. So both of those things are true.
But Ketanji Brown Jackson, whether or not she benefited from affirmative action, I'll give that to you. But the fact of the matter is, she was a highly decorated attorney and litigator and adjudicator, and then she was nominated to a position by a president.
What is affirmative action to you?
There is not a job description that she applied for to be a Supreme Court justice.
What is affirmative action to you?
You mean socially, or you mean like
when Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson talk about benefiting from affirmative action?
Wait, just before we get there, let me say, are you saying that Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh and Ketanji Brown Jackson are differently qualified for their positions?
I think there is a chance that could be the case because affirmative action, depending on the business, means different things. Harvard, for example, literally based to me, like Harvard went to law court and everything. They literally lowered the admission requirements for Black students. To me, that's looking down on Black people, saying, hey, you're Black, you're not smart enough to get into Harvard, but so what we're going to do, we need to bump up our quotas. We need more Black people. So we know you aren't smart enough. We're going to lower our quota in, away from the Asians, away from the whites, and we're going to accept you in at this lower level so we just get you into Harvard.
But even that sentence, Amir, is so inflammatory.
That's what they did. I'm not inflammatory. I'm saying what Harvard
did. But no, the way that you are qualifying this is inflammatory.
That's the way I took it. That's the way I took it. I took it as, oh, this institution thinks Black people aren't smart enough.
Okay.
So they literally lowered
their... But the irony of that, I'm stretching.
But to wrap it up, if we know Harvard saying, hey, we're lowering the admission rates for the requirements for Black people, then we know the Black people that are getting in aren't as smart, literally, because who is admitting they're lower to test scores, not as smart as the white and the Asians. Therefore, now you can look at these things a little different and say, did you get in because you're brown, or did you get in because they lowered the test scores and they brought you in for a quota? So now, back in the day, when I would drive past a Black billboard, when I see Black pilots and Black this, Black that, I was inspired, motivated through it. That is so awesome. Black people can achieve that. Wow, Black pilots. Wow, Black judges. Like, this is insane.
But the irony of that is...
And then now I look at this and I feel like, did you deserve that? Like, are you?
Why would you, black person, ever question whether or not another black person deserves the accolades that they have
Because I
received?
just told you, they're handing out accolades. They're not giving them, like, the person at Harvard never earned that accolade. They literally lowered the requirements for it. They're dumber. That is what Harvard did. So when you say,
Did you go to Harvard?
no, I don't have to go to Harvard to read the law and read what happened.
Could you have gotten into Harvard?
I don't know, probably not.
So then clearly there is a level of achievement one must have in order to get into these schools. We're not talking about the community college around the street. We are talking about one of the most exclusive groups of people on the planet.
That
And
did
all
what?
we're saying is,
But what
if
did
you
they
are
do?
going to go to Harvard, clearly you have to be qualified. I couldn't get in.
No.
I couldn't get in.
I'm telling you, we can look it up after. We know that to not be the case. Why is it harder for white people and Asians to get into Harvard than blacks?
It is not harder for white people and Asians to get into Harvard,
We know Harvard literally lowered the test requirements to get in.
which benefits everybody. It benefits dumb white people as well as dumb black people.
And you want dumb people in Harvard?
I don't want dumb people anywhere. But the fact of the matter is, affirmative action, assuming that I follow your logic, affirmative action means lowering the qualification to get into something for something. Then that benefits anybody. Affirmative action does not benefit just people who are a diverse workplace benefits everybody. Lowered qualifications, as you qualify it,
No.
benefits everybody.
I don't want to be in Harvard. If I don't deserve it, I don't want to be there.
The irony is, you just said you couldn't get in even if you wanted to. So why does
Right.
it matter?
It matters because if we're going to say a Harvard degree is this big institution, like you said, it's a small club, it's elite, it's like you're really smart, right?
Okay.
If we held that for the longest of time, because of what? It is hard to get into Harvard,
And it still is.
not
Nobody
as-
in this room could have gone to Harvard.
but not as hard anymore. That's what I'm saying.
But who cares? Who cares? It's still hard as fuck to get into Harvard. Even if Harvard lowered
Do
its
you
standard,
understand?
even if I follow your logic, even if Harvard lowered its standard to admit a broader group of people that may or may not have included people of color, it is still hard as fuck to get into Harvard. You couldn't do it.
No.
Charlie Kirk couldn't do it.
I completely disagree because I think if we're going to say Harvard is a great institution, we understand what that means. But again, it goes back to losing definitions and losing meanings. Now, all of a sudden, a Harvard degree was easier to get for a black person than it was a white or Asian because they literally lowered the requirements.
But you do understand that the line that you are going down, where you are casting aspersions on every black person's achievement because of affirmative action that
But
may
that
or may not
wasn't-
impact what they've done, it looks like you are saying you are a black hating black person.
It can look however anybody wants to look at it.
So you acknowledge then.
I acknowledge that anybody can receive something and say that's crazy, this or that. Yeah, but at the end of the day, I'm the one, at least on this specific thing, sitting on the truth.
The truth of what?
The truth that is, white person in Harvard, knowledge is up here. Asian person in Harvard, knowledge is up here. Black person in Harvard, knowledge down here. That's not a mere saying that. That is Harvard saying, hey, we made the requirements different. So the perspective is that when you look at that and I see, okay, if you're white, you needed higher test scores, and you're Asian, you needed higher test scores, and you're black, you needed lower test scores. I'm looking at that and saying, okay, then obviously the blacks and the Asians there are smarter than the blacks. The whites and the Asians are smarter than the blacks. That's not me casting off that, oh, black people are dumb. No.
But you have said that at least once in this conversation that black people are dumber than white and Asian folks at Harvard.
You're taking me out of context.
Am I not? Didn't you not just say that? You just said at Harvard, black people are dumber than white and Asian folks.
Yeah, and to a certain degree, actually, yes. To a certain degree, yes. If we're talking about that.
And so you then acknowledge, though, that looks like you a hating ass black dude.
It looks like it. But I'm
So
not.
how are you not then? If that then becomes the foundation to where you can now second guess
Right.
any accolade from any black person anywhere, then that means you a hating ass black dude. You got to be able to. We got to be able to stand on that truth too.
Can my terminology be different? Can I be softer? For sure. I agree with that.
I don't think you can soften up that perspective. If, for instance, every black person who achieves anything is now in question because of affirmative action, then yeah, you a hating ass black dude.
If a white person got an A on the test,
okay,
and an Asian person got an A on the test,
and a black person did what?
Got a C on the test.
Okay.
Am I a hating ass black person for saying, of these group of people that took this test, the whites and the Asians were smarter than the blacks?
You would be a hating ass, no, but you would be a hating ass black dude if you found at Harvard any black person who got a C on anything and still got in, and you then are saying that they are the problem.
I'm not going to say that every single black person at Harvard is dumb. I'm not going to say that. But I do think
you have said that though, Amir. You have said that.
I do think you can question whether or not they deserve to be there, because now their degree is a little different than the whites and the Asians. So that trickles down into everything. Back to my example, while we used to look up to black people, and now because of DEI and all these companies admitting, we just got you because you're black, not because your knowledge, not because you're qualified. We got you because we needed to fit this quota. We needed to have a certain amount of percentage of black people in this business. Now I do look at things a little bit different when you're judging me based off the color of my skin and not the content of my character. I do look at that a little bit different.
I don't dispute what I would qualify as your very problematic views. All I'm saying is,
do you want to be judged by the content of your character or the color of your skin? What do you want to be judged for? Do you want to be judged by who you are as a person, or just me glancing at you? Come on in.
First, I don't want to be judged by anything, but I enter every single room as every piece of me. I am black. I am a man. I am smart. All of those things show up at the same time. Are you okay for being picked
apart by just one piece?
Never.
We agree. I don't like businesses just saying, we need another black. We need one. Go ahead and bring him in. That's what they're doing. I can use different language, but that is what they're doing.
Sure. I don't have any research to say that is not happening. But what I'm telling you, though, is that is why you a hating ass black dude.
By acknowledging what businesses are doing?
By casting aspersions on actual black people who have achieved something because of this perception of what affirmative action did at Harvard. These are
It's
different.
Not even a perception when there are businesses that have admitted to people being
okay,
picked
so
out
what happens when, so why then is it that a white person has the benefit of the doubt of you're just smart, but black person has to then prove that I'm actually smart because affirmative action exists somewhere that it has nothing to do with me? Why then do we have two different standards of intellect for two different groups of people?
That's a great
question.
In
your head.
It's not in my head.
You just said now the Harvard degree looks different on a black person than it would on a white or Asian person.
Okay, do we agree? Well, you already said you don't. Not that you don't agree, but you don't have like the information readily available. If we're gonna go off everything what I'm saying is true, in that they admitted black people in at lower test scores, that is then they are of a different caliber than the other people there.
Okay.
I don't understand how that's hating to point that out. To just say, hey.
No. You're mincing my words. What I'm saying, though, this black person, like I went to the University of Texas. I have a degree from UT. San Antonio.
Austin? Okay.
I have a degree from UT. If, for instance, your words, now black people who achieve something are looked at differently because Harvard people may have been subject to affirmative action, then you are holding black people to a different standard than any white or Asian counterpart. And that is separate, not equal. That is a different standard for different people. That is all those things. And I'm not arguing your politics.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's what qualifies you as a hating ass black
Yeah,
dude.
it's made DEI has made people racist.
Are you one of those people?
No, I'm black. I want the advancement of black people. I don't hate
Do
black
you though?
people.
Because it sounds like you're saying that I want the advancement of black people in my definition of it. But I can't.
I think
Black person can't even get into Harvard and be okay to based on what you just said.
I think they used to. I think if we say you need at least an 80, anybody, don't matter. You need an 80 to get in to the back room. Come on in. Everybody that's in this room, and that was your metrics, you all good. And now all of a sudden, you say, actually, anybody that's black, come on in here if you make a 60. Come on in the back room. You have then made everybody in that room look at everybody different. But like, oh, well, it used to be the club like 80s to get in, but now for this group of people, now it's 60s. Now it's like, oh, like that's odd. Like, what does that mean going forward? And how am I looking at things differently? Like,
Is it a black person making the rules?
does it matter?
Yes. Yes, it does matter.
Why does it matter? Because
Because if a black person is distinguishing between black people for whatever reason, that is very different than a white person distinguishing between black people. And more importantly, if a black person has a black context and the advancement of black people at heart, then that is very different than a white person who could not possibly know what it's like to live in a white supremacist society as a black person and have to deal with all the issues that come with that. Context matters. As you said earlier in this conversation,
it does.
Context and definition matters.
It definitely does. And so now when you see like I said, example before, when I see black people on billboards and black people winning awards, this, that, and the third, it does, because of DEI, has made me look at that like, huh.
But that by definition makes you a hating ass black dude.
I'm not hating on them.
You are hating on them. If their accolades don't mean the same than they did 10 years ago,
But that's not me
or
saying
affirmative
it.
action, that is you saying it.
I think that's where we're getting mixed up.
But that is you saying it. Because you could just say, you made it into Harvard, I'm proud of you. You could say you won an Oscar, I'm proud of you.
But if
you
they're
could
not-
say that.
But if they don't have a definition, it means nothing. If it doesn't have a grounding, it means nothing. Harvard means nothing if they are saying, hey, if everybody gets, like the other example, if we know it took whatever it took to get a Harvard degree, it was all the same for all races. You got that degree, and now Harvard is saying, hey, actually, we made it a little easier for the black people. That's not me being hating. That's me acknowledging what they're doing and looking at me differently.
But that's not what I'm talking about. Sure. I disagree fervently with your characterization of how affirmative action is taking root at Harvard. I disagree. But if I go with it for a second.
Yeah.
If then that applies to every other black person who did not go to Harvard, who got some type of accolade, and now in the back of your head, you're thinking, did you actually get it, or was this a DEI hire?
It's wrong.
Then you a hating ass black dude.
I wouldn't say hating. But
You
I do
are
think,
a hating ass black dude.
I wouldn't say hating.
Because the gotcha is, and again, context matters.
Yeah.
I host Dear Black Gay Men podcast. My whole job is to acknowledge how dope it is to be us and to love us.
It's amazing.
And for that reason, regardless of where you came from, regardless of how you got where you are, regardless of what you've been through or what you're currently going through, I believe you are dope as fuck just because you're here.
Okay.
I will never in my life think, but you kind of got by because Ketanji got into Harvard off of affirmative action. And so now a mere 721,000 subscribers means less. That don't make no sense to me.
You know what? We agree. I just don't think it's there right here.
Let me ask you a different question. This will be my last question, Ashton, because I know You over there. But this will be my last question. Did you work hard to get 700,000 subscribers on YouTube?
Yes. I have been homeless. I've seen my mom's car get repossessed, grew up with no family. I have been through hell and back, multiple failed attempts. You can see my cut marks right here. Went to go jump in front of a semi, didn't do it, put pussied out on it.
Mm-hmm.
Gone through hell and back in my life. 2 years ago, I was door dashing. I've worked tremendously hard. I've been in a 9 to 5 from 18, worked my way up the corporate ladder, cleaning things in a closet in a corporate office, and like going up to the boss, like, hey, I want to do this. Can I do this? Can I work hard to do this? Hey, can I do this? Reading different books, listening to different podcasts, figuring out maybe that can be my mentor, and ask them, hey, do you have a book that I can read? Hey, can we like go to church together? Doing all these things to climb the corporate ladder. Did that. Worked for a startup company, didn't end up working out, lost everything, door dashing, credit card debt, the whole nine.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, I posted, I was doing social media since 2020. Then I made a video outlining my critiques of the LGBTQ plus community because I saw a decline happening. Talked about that. That went viral, absolutely viral. 1.5 million views in like 4 days, gained 30,000 subs. And then from then on, I have not left my foot off the gas. And I've worked harder in my life now than I have at any point in my entire life. I work extremely, extremely hard for what I do.
So what if
Yeah.
somebody shitted on that experience
They have every
just
right to.
because you're black?
They have.
How would that? But yes, they do have a right to.
I think that's a different. I think it's a bad example.
If they do have a right to, but what if all of the things that you went through to become this version of you were shaded
Yeah.
for something you cannot control,
Mm-hmm.
something that is outside of the hard fucking work that you've put in?
Right.
What if you were what if, as you have said, what if you were denied experience? Because you have been denied experiences because of your stances, because of your ideologies.
Right.
And I would
And I've also
wager that you've
benefited
probably
from them.
been denied certain experiences because of your skin color, if people are actually honest with you.
There's not a lot of rooms on the right I haven't been in because of my skin color. But there has a lot of rooms that I haven't been in on the left because of my skin color, ironically. I do think.
Right or left. But what if you have been denied an experience of all the work it takes to be you every single day? Every long edit, every
I see where you're going.
What if you have been denied something based on something that has nothing to do with the merits of you sitting in that room?
I think there's a difference between being an independent business. You own a business, I own a business. We are businesses. I think there's a difference between being entrepreneurs and someone being let into Harvard because their test scores were different than a white person.
That's not where I'm going with that.
Where are you going?
All I'm saying is you worked you had a tough road to hoe to be the person you are today.
Yeah.
And I would wager in the America I live in, some of that strife is because of the color of your skin.
Yeah.
Some of it.
Okay.
At some point somewhere, you have been discriminated against because you black.
Yeah. And have been benefited from being black.
And so what if the course correction in admissions is to take all of that into account? The fact that in this country, your life has just been harder because you're black. What if?
And you fought through that, so that means you have a different type of...
No. We're not saying you fought through it so that it has you a different type. It's you got straight A's, just like white person.
Right.
But you also...
went through all that.
Did all this other shit that made your A matter different than his who didn't have those same barriers.
Yeah, I'm with that.
That is affirmative action.
To a certain degree, I am fond of that kind of affirmative action. If we're looking at the whole scope of a human being, as long as they're in these set parameters for everybody, I'm fine with that. I like that. That's why every college you have to write the essays and people you. That's why
good college.
That's why
I ain't have to write no essays to get in my
That's why
school.
people in high school are in all these different clubs and Key Club, Beta Club, and all like that's why.
But that's also why a lot of black people in this example are not in those clubs because they latchkey kids that got to get home and take care of their little brother and their
Right.
sister and a
Yeah.
whole bunch of other things. Yet somehow or another, they still got that 4.0.
And I'm fine with that as long as it's applicable to all races, because we can't just say that white people don't go through that. We can't just say that there aren't black
I
people
can.
who just don't go through anything. White people do go through things, and there are black people who don't go through nothing.
But it ain't the same. A white person's issues in this country today are not the same as a black person's issues because there is a culture that says that we are not the same. You have said we are not the same in this conversation.
Not the same largely because black people don't care about black lives. I genuinely think that black people scream all day about Black Lives Matter, but don't even care that their own lives matter. There is a reason why black fatigue is growing. There is a reason why we look at Carnival Cruise changing all their rules. You look at every amusement park changing all their rules. You look at every restaurant, mall.
You want black people to be respectable.
And everybody to be respectable. There's a reason NBA...
No. But you started this by saying black people. You want black people to be respectable.
Yeah, for sure.
And that is why you a hating ass black dude.
Are the companies hating?
Yes.
So the company,
Target is hating.
So for example, the
answer is yes.
The United Center that just canceled NBA YoungBoy's concert, they're hating.
If, for instance, your decision, I don't know about that decision, but if, for instance, you want black people to show up in a way that somebody can respect, then yes, you a hating ass black dude.
It's not even just
you a hating ass person.
It's just ironic that it's black people.
But black people need to be able to show up however they show up.
I disagree. I think Americans,
because you want them to be respectable.
I think Americans should show up in an American respectful way, and there's no reason.
But we're not all the same American. There are Americans that, like my father, who come from a different country.
Are you okay with teen takeovers? Are you okay with like all the black teens riding up together and shutting down malls, shutting down Walmart, shutting down Target, shutting down SeaWorld, shutting down Six Flags? Are you okay with that? Is that representational?
Are they destroying property?
Yes.
I'm not okay with the destruction of property.
That's what I'm saying.
But you want black people
destructing property respectful.
But
is it respectful to not destroy property?
Yes, it's respectful.
Are you
to
hating
respect
ass black nigga for wanting respectful? Like that's
no. I didn't say respectful. I said respectable.
Same thing.
No, they're not. No, they're not, Amir. They are not, Amir. They are not.
Okay, is it respectable to not tear down a business?
That would be that's not the way that you would use that. You're saying that I want black people to show up like I want them to show up.
I don't want black people to just destroy things.
So the opposite of that is I do want black people to show up in a certain way.
Yeah, we have standards in the society.
No, we don't. Black people can show up however the fuck you want to show up.
I disagree. And I don't think white people should show up however they want to show up. I think we all should show up.
I think everybody should show up the way that they want to show up in anything.
I think that's a huge problem, and that erodes America as it is. I think that's dangerous rhetoric.
Okay.
Like,
what do you think America is then?
I would much rather build an America that has a set moral grounding on what definitions mean, what words mean. I'd much rather America that has a set standard of, hey, if you see something laying on the ground, don't touch it, don't steal it, leave it alone. I'd much rather America where, for some reason, only in black neighborhoods, primarily, everything in Walmart, Target, CVS, Walgreens is locked up because we live in a society where people are just stealing things because it benefits them. I'd much rather not the United Center cancel an NBA YoungBoy concert that's predominantly black because all the black people are jumping over from the 100 levels to crowds to get on the floor because they deserve to be on the floor. I'd much rather live in a society.
Wait, hold on. So you really believe that it is a homogenous group of black people, like not another ethnicity involved, that has caused whatever this closing is at the United Center? You believe that it is only black folk?
No. That's predominantly. So I've been very careful. Predominantly.
Okay.
Predominantly. There's a reason it's predominantly, because even if we're looking at Six Flags, Cedar Fair, Six Flags, changing all their chaperone rules. I think it's no one under 21, or it's some crazy. It's like a high age. That changed because in all these different cities across the United States, you look at these groups of predominantly black people. You got the white ones, you got the Hispanic ones, you got the Asian ones, predominantly black people, bum rushing in, causing all type of ruckus, fighting, like just acting a fool. And yeah, it's across the United States,
Because
and
you
that's why they're
want
changing
black
the
people.
rule.
You want black people, in your example, you want black people to be respectable.
There's nothing wrong with the expectation to go to Six Flags and not have to fight through a riot.
We already live in a society that says that people should obey laws.
And
If you don't obey the law, then you should get the consequences for that. I don't think any person,
and
black, pro-black, or
who's
otherwise,
majority breaking laws.
that is a loaded question. That's just a loaded question, because just like you could say primarily black people are breaking laws, I could say primarily black communities are over policed.
That's a whole other topic.
And that is a whole nother topic. But what I'm saying is,
like,
but the gotcha is, and again, the reason why you are characterized as a hating ass black dude
for sure
is because you have these very anti-black perspectives on certain things.
I'm not anti-black for wanting to go to Six Flags and not walk through a riot.
But you are anti-black for casting aspersions on black people's accolades because of what you say affirmative action did at Harvard. That is anti-black. If I can't be at the University of Texas and get my degree, and that means the same thing as a white person, just because of in your head what happened at Harvard that ain't got shit to do with me, then yes, that is anti-black. Why can't I just be a black person that got a degree?
Is it anti-black to pick someone out because they're black?
In what? Pick them out in what? Because you talking to dear black gay men. I pick out black people all the time.
Is it if I need,
perfect example, if I need a haircut, yes, I'm picking a black person.
For sure.
That is pro-black.
Hispanic, but he's mixed.
I'll give you that. My best friend's barber is Latino.
Yeah.
He's Puerto Rican, Cuban.
Right.
He's Latino.
Right.
I would pick him over some white dude any day.
Yes. But I'm talking about just like the idea.
If I need somebody to make some food, I ain't going to no white person. If I need somebody in my life, I err on the side of melanin.
I'm with you, but I think this is completely different than a business saying, I just need a black. I don't even care about the accolades. I just need a black person. That's what it is. Is that half the time some of these accolades are being ignored.
But what it sounds like you're saying is for these service positions, yeah, I can go with I need a black for this because a barber, a cook, all those things. But the second that you start climbing that ladder, all of a sudden needing a black becomes a bad thing.
I think it's contextual. There's a difference in.
It's so funny that you started this talking about you need common sense, but then every time I point a hole in it, there's context
because
here.
It's a big hole. There's a difference in we're black. Black and white people referring to hair is completely different. White people do not have black hair. So, of course, I'm going to go to a black person because they have black hair. That's a shared thing. That's way different than picking up a book and learning something. So, yeah, I'm poking a hole in that.
But you got to learn a whole bunch of shit to be a good barber. I'm not saying white people could not be good barbers.
Right.
I'm saying in my life, because I'm rooting for everybody black, I'm going to find me a black barber.
Mm-hmm.
In my life, because I'm rooting for everybody black, regardless of how Ketanji Brown Jackson got to where she was considered for the Supreme Court, I acknowledge that she worked her ass off. You don't just get to the Supreme Court by riding on somebody's coattails. You don't get to 700,000 subscribers by coasting.
I think that's different context. I think I work for myself, and there's difference between like someone in school and being led into a school because of their lower test. I think there's just a lot of different things. And yes, there's a lot of different contexts. But I say that because we're bringing up different examples that aren't even related to each other. I think some things are related and some things aren't.
But the only difference between you and I is I am rooting for everybody black regardless of what happened. Because I know how hard it is. I think that you and I both know how hard it is to be black in this country. It is difficult.
There's probably some shared experiences that are difficult because at the end of the day, in the words of Jay-Z, I don't know if I can say that word on here, but we still ends. So yeah, but again, I think there is a big difference in specifically picking out a black person just because they're black and not because of their accolades, as far as Harvard goes. But there are different examples for a thing. If you want to focus on Beyonce, a lot of her bands are black people because she wants to highlight and promote, hey, there are good black people that are in band, and she wants to promote that. Sure, I have no problem with that. If you want to promote that,
yes, but Beyonce,
fine.
there are still white people on that stage. Even Cowboy Carter, there's still white people on the stage. There's still Latinos. There are men and women. There are big girls and little girls. There are fat people and skinny
Which
people.
I find
there are
interesting
older
Beyonce,
people and younger
she
people.
acknowledges that there's like at the end of her show, she's like, "Oh, shout out to my female dancers, my male dancers, and my dolls." So that was very interesting.
Because the dolls are people of trans experience
and not women.
Because it's just like that would be like me shouting out to my male friends, my women friends, and the girls.
This is completely so different. What's fish?
Feminine.
That's all it is?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know.
It could also be a woman, like Ashton is fish, because she is feminine and she's chuckling over there. Okay, we are off the rails and we are way over time. Ashton, thank you so much for rocking with us. That was our show. Put it on me, Ashton. That was our show. I am Jay the Gentleman. I would invite Amir back. I would invite you back.
Put it on me.
Put it on Amir.
I'm gonna be back. And we're gonna have a great conversation. And we'll be kicking it because at the end of the day, this is how you have rational conversations. We may disagree on some things may got a little hot and heavy, but that's fine.
That is
fine. We are
fine.
here to have discussions, and we're here to bridge this divide.
Yes.
So I can only encourage and hope that you all to do the same and to be as open as this wonderful man that you listen to weekly.
Thank you.
To be as open and as conversational. So thank you for your time today.
I appreciate that. We'll be right back here with another episode tomorrow at 9 p.m. For more exclusive content, join me on Substack at dearblackgayman.substack.com. The link is in the description. I appreciate you all more than I can ever express. I will talk to you next time. Bye.